Hi everybody, welcome to How to Find Volume. So we're going to talk about how to find the volume of a prism today. And the volume of any solid is just simply the amount of space it takes up. So when I set this prism out, how much space does it take up in 3 dimensions? This is important to remember in terms of how to label, so we'll get to that in a minute. This is a fairly simple lesson when you understand what you're multiplying together. It's just important that you keep this separate from how to find the surface area because they're 2 different things. So basically, the important formula, and this is the one to do, the volume equals the length times the width times the height. If you need to label what those are, it's important. I'll do length times width, which is basically your area of a flat surface, but when you multiply it times the height and see what that equals, that's your volume. So just to show you that this can be a little bit more complicated than it looks when we add the decimals, I drew this little prism over here where this is 6.2, this is 8, and the height is 3.9 inches. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to multiply all of those together. I have pre-done the arithmetic for you, but you can check me out and do 3.9 times 6.2. Please realize that you need to know, where does that decimal go? And did I regroup correctly? So I got 24.18 when I did 3.9 times 6.2, and I did the 2 most difficult numbers together first, knowing that then I could just multiply all of that by an 8, and I got 193.44 inches, and a 3 means cubed. That means in 3 dimensions. So it's important. It will be counted half off if you have a 2 instead of a 3 for an incorrect label. So these are really easy to make a small mistake on. So your quick check is to really quickly say, okay, this is about a 4, a 6, and an 8. What is 4 times 6 times 8? Well, I knew that 4 times 6 is 24, so I multiplied by 8 and I got 192. Because remember, if this decimal point is off by 1, you are now in the thousands. Or if you go 1 this way, it's only 19.344. The decimal place has to go right here for it to be correct. And a good way to figure that out is to do a quick estimation to do that. So I have 2 for you to try. Again, these are not completely difficult. We'll talk about when we use these in just a moment. So go ahead and pause and try these 2. All right. It is important, again, that you keep track of the math that you have done. So I got my 5 times 2 is 10, times 4 is 40. Some of you might try to do these in your head, but I'm going to encourage you to make sure you write down the steps, because when you get to this one, yes, 6 times 6 is 36, and notice I took these 2, they're rather easy to multiply together. I didn't have to think about that, but then I did 12.5 times 36, and make sure that decimal point is put in the correct spot, and I got 450 feet cubed. All right. Where we use these is a lot of times when you're looking at the volume of a prism. I think about a swimming pool or an aquarium that is filled up. That's a lot of times when you would use it. There also, I was thinking about when my kids took gymnastics, they would jump into this giant pit of foam pieces. You could find the volume of that as well. You could really find the volume of any container, like say a brick of ice cream, something like that, where you saw how much ice cream, the volume of the ice cream that goes inside of the box. So the biggest thing to remember in this lesson compared to the last lesson is volume is put the little cubed up there, whereas surface area put this up there, surface area is square units. Okay, so that's the biggest issue that I see with something being incorrect. So realize that now they could ask you a question that says find both the surface area and the volume. And remember that you would have to perform the surface area, the top, bottom, front, back, side, left, and right on this, but then you'll also multiply them all together to find the volume. So that would be two very different numbers, one in square units and one in cube units. I say this to you because there might be some challenge questions that ask a question like that. This lesson is more about doing those calculations correctly and knowing what to do with that decimal point. Remember, if it's after the decimal, you count the total number. So this one only had 2, and you swoosh it 2 this way. But sometimes you are going to have 3 to deal with, and you'll swoosh it 3. All of those things we did with decimals, it's important that you remember. All right, thanks everyone, and come and see me if you have any questions at all. Use the other videos as well.